Alright, what you see here is a Hunter Acela ceiling fan. It's a 52-inch ceiling fan that's currently sold at Home Depot. As of this video, it's being sold for $200. Now, when I first got this fan, I bought it for $150. Now, this fan I bought because I really do like how the design looks on this fan, and it just reminds me of a lot of other fans I've seen in the past that are considered vintage now, but they also had a contemporary look. One that it mostly reminds me of is the Homestead Wind 2. And kind of reminds me a bit of like some of the contemporary fans from Hampton Bay back in the early 2000s, like the Windward 2, the Hampton Bay Romano, and a few others. But yeah, I really just like the look of the fan and the finish combo it has. It's in a matte silver finish. Or a matte gray finish, not matte silver. And the blades are like a gray wash finish of some sort. It doesn't say specifically, but I'm just going to call them gray wash just because that's what they look like to me. But yeah. Now this fan I bought because I really wanted to see how it performs, and also I figured maybe get it because who knows, it's just going to be something that's going to be sold for a while. And I figured I'd get it while it was a bit cheaper, because now it's gone up $50 since I bought this fan. So I figured that would be another reason why to get it, because it's definitely a fan I can see myself installing whenever I move out of this apartment. It could be my next living room fan. It could be a kitchen fan, which I'm pretty sure I would probably put this in the kitchen now that I see it installed in person and such. I put it in the kitchen here. It's just the medallion situation kind of makes it a bit tricky, but honestly, this I honestly would consider putting in our kitchen here. I would just have to like put something that, see, like if I was to put the black stove in my living room, I'd take down the low profile in the kitchen and put this up, so I have two contemporary looking fans. Something I actually I might consider doing, but I kind of want to have some traditional looking ones in a sense. But like the modern contemporary like this, I really do like. I mean, I'd even consider this for my bedroom, but it's just, I'd rather have something that's like Casablanca air movement in there, which is literally what I have. So that's not happening with this fan. It does have the newer Hunter logo that they have on the fans now, which I really do like, honestly. Seeing it in person, I mean, they started doing something similar to this, like, ever since they came out with the matte gray Hunter original. And I've noticed on, like, even the Hugger fans and a lot of other of the basic models all have these as well, not just the Hunter original. I think it's nicer because it really makes the Hunter logo stand out better instead of it just being engraved. I mean, it's just a black font, or black background and like a chromish font. So from like a distance, you'll be able to see it at least. But yeah. Now, something I found interesting is these are the only parts of the motor housing that's metal. This upper part of the motor housing and the canopy is plastic. Down row is metal, of course. But I found it interesting that they chose to make those plastic parts instead. But I mean, they don't really affect the performance of the fan, so I'm not complaining. But yeah, this fan, I really just love how it looks. See, like if I had a kitchen, I'd probably have like cabinets that are similar to this cutter, and I'd put this up in there without a question. Since with the kitchen that we have now having white cabinets, there's not really much that the blades would match with. So I'd rather not put it up there right now. But yeah, it came with this little remote. So yeah, let me go ahead and show the light. There it is on its lowest setting. Actually, no. Here it is on the low setting. It does have a pretty good dimming range for an LED light. Has like 10 brightness settings, so it does. I'd say for an LED, it's actually pretty good. So it doesn't get as dark like a halogen bulb would on the lowest setting, but could be. I mean, the fact that it has so many lighting settings with it being an LED, I'm pretty impressed. Yeah, it definitely does a really good job lighting up the space. See, if it wasn't for my bedroom being very wide, I'd honestly even put this in there, but if two reasons is that one, it wouldn't move. I'd rather have something that's a little bit stronger, like the Panama, okay, like a stack motor fan. And the other thing is the lighting. While I don't think it would be a bad fan for a bedroom in terms of lighting, it's just my bedroom's so wide that I feel like it would only really light up the center area of the bedroom, which is why I'd rather have spotlights in my room instead. Let me just darken the light just so it doesn't make so much glare on the video. All right. And here it is on the low speed. Trying to kind of figure it out. Hold on, let me just stop it quickly. I'm not sure if I'm actually setting it too low. All right, there we go. I did forget to check how to reverse the fan, but I know honestly I'm not really too worried about that. I really would rather just get a video of it performing on all the speeds. Now these blades, they don't screw in, they just kind of melt in place with rubber grommets. And like the screws kind of hold them in place. I'll show it once it's off, but it's kind of an interesting design. I gotta say, for a low speed, it's actually not a bad low speed. It's not too fast, not too slow. It's about your typical low speed from Hunter. It's definitely something I can see like in a loft apartment of sorts. Especially like on a long down road, I think it would look really nice. I do know that some Home Depots sell this along with the Cavera too, which looks very similar to this, except the blades are don't have like a wood grain look to them. It's just solid gray, and it's like a Wi-Fi fan and such. That one I was interested in, but this one I really liked to look up a bit more, so I figured if I was gonna get like a sure speed model from Home Depot, I figured I'd wait until something really intrigues me, and this fan happened to have been the one to intrigue me enough to buy. I'm not sure if to wait. Yeah, it has a very nice low speed to it, honestly. It's not too fast, not too slow. It's just what I'd expect for a fan, to be honest. Yeah, it's funny because on in person it didn't seem like the blades had that much of a brownish look to them, but on the box they do. But seeing it in person, it's definitely more of a grayish look. All right, now to move it up to medium. I definitely should have checked the instructions to see how to reverse it, but maybe at the end of the video I'll add a clip of it running on reverse once I figure it out. Interesting how despite the fan being brand new out of the box, that there seems to be one of the blade arms just a tiny bit out of alignment. But I mean, the way this fan sits in the box, I'm honestly not too surprised because it literally sits in the box like with those Hampton Bay Huntington 2s, Huntington 3s, the Hampton Bay Remington 3s, 4s, the Quick Connects. Basically any Quick Connect fan, basically, that had the blade arms already mounted to them when you bought the fan new in the box. I'm honestly not too surprised that it kind of made its own a little bit out of clock. Because despite it being new in the box, with the blade arms being mounted like that, it is easier for them to get a little bit bent and such, like in shipping, being moved around, like on forklifts and all that. So, I mean, I made sure to get the box that was like in the best shape when I picked this one up. But yeah, I'm definitely feeling a good breeze from it. I mean, the fan's nice and quiet. It's not noisy at all. Let me just see how much it moves underneath it. Oh wow, underneath it's definitely pushing a good breeze without a question. On the low speed, I already knew how much it moved earlier, so it's more so the medium speed. I like to get more of an idea because that's usually speed I either don't feel anything, feel a good amount, or feel too much from. In fact, this actually would have looked really good in my bedroom at my dad's house too, honestly. Had they already not picked out that Panama and such, this would have been a good choice too. The only thing is, though, is that to find replacement parts for this would definitely be more of a pain, which is the other reason why I figured I'd put the Panama 2 in my dad's place, the XTR 1. Plus, it was cheaper too, since I got it from Nathan, whereas this I bought retail, so it was honestly more expensive. I know it's definitely like a really nice look. Like I really just love the shape of the motor housing with the white, like having a dome. Like it kind of looks like those can lights you'd see and such. Just with fan blades sticking out of it, but actually having small blade arms too. So that's kind of like what that's kind of the other reason why I like it a lot. It's not just blades sticking out; it also has like little blade arm badges. So it kind of, which is why it reminds me a bit of the Wind and Wind 2 from Homestead. All right, now for high. Well, I gotta say, considering how slow Hunter fans have been going up until like the past few years, and with this being a short speed model, it definitely lives up to its name of it being a fast fan. Like I definitely could say this goes even faster than some of the Spinnermotor Hunters that I have, like that are from like the '90s era, 2000s era. Like it definitely, I feel like this definitely goes a bit faster than the Infinity in my living room. It has a slight wobble, but I feel like it's just from the one blade and being a tiny bit out of clock. It's nothing major. Just for me to tighten that blade on just a tiny bit, I would have to take off the whole entire light kit, which I'm not trying to do. If it was for a permanent install, I'd do it, but for a test video, it's fine the way it is. It's just slightly loose. It's not like loose to the point where it's gonna fly off. But yeah, I gotta say, I'm actually really impressed with how this fan performs. It's kind of hard to gauge whether it moves more air than the typical 172 motor Hunter fans from like the 90s and 2000s era. It has been quite some time since I've tested one of those down here. I think the last one that I tested down here from that era was the Hunter Preference earlier this year. Summer Breeze, that was 48 inches. I tested that. Doesn't really count because one, it's a 48-inch fan, and it also uses a 188 motor, so it's not going to be an accurate rating. I will say though, I do feel this actually moves a bit more air than those typical 172 motor Hunter fans from the 90s and 2000s era. Definitely moves a lot more air than a lot of those way 2000s, like 2009, 2010 era, going into like the 2010, 2012, like 2011-ish era, where a lot of the Hunter fans were kind of sluggish on the high speed. It's just definitely not one of them, and I can definitely say the high speed on this is definitely a good high speed. Oh wow, it's standing underneath it's definitely pushing a strong breeze as well. Oh wow, that's actually really good air movement. It's definitely above like your normal Spinnermotor Hunter air movement, but it's not quite Casablanca. I'd say it's kind of close to like the direct drive motors that Casablanca had, but not exactly the same air movement. But it's kind of close to it, I'd say. Like, it is kind of almost similar to like K55 air movement, to be honest. Not like the super fast ones like from Casablanca. I'd say more so like the Emerson Premium that I tested. The air movement on this, I'd say, is about the same as that, if not more. And that one, I know it's been some time that I tested, but I do remember the air movement from that pretty distinctly, because that one didn't go as fast, but it still moved a good amount of air. But what? Yeah, wow, I'm really impressed with this. I did not expect it to move this much air, especially being a Home Depot hunter. But since it's a sure speed one, I definitely wasn't as concerned about the air movement. But yeah, air movement, it's definitely a very good air mover, especially for today's standards. Like, I'd say this is almost on par with like showroom air movement. Like, I could say it's about the same as like, it's definitely a bit more than the Hampton Bay Camerons, twos and such. And even though, and those move a lot of air. I wouldn't quite say it's about the same as the Hampton Bay Windward 2 with the Glossman wind blades, but those also have 188 motors in them, so, and they also go a bit faster than this. But this fan definitely, it's pretty close. Like, I'd say it's pretty close to the air movement from the Windward 2, but just not exactly the same, but it's pretty close to it. But yeah, no, I'm really impressed with this fan. I'm really glad that I got it. It's definitely something I will install whenever I get my own place. It's actually good enough for me to install in my bedroom. It's just, I know it's a little bit weaker than the pan number 2, so I'd prefer to have the other one, the pan number 2, in my bedroom instead. Plus, with the lighting situation, that's the other reason. Now, if the new place I move into has, if my bedroom ends up being a bit smaller, that'd be a different story. You know, this is definitely a really good performing fan. Like, I'm really impressed with it. Like, it's a good performer. It's fast, quiet, but it's not like it's just the same like the previous fans that Hunter had before they started making them, before the quality really took a dive in 2008 to 2010ish era. Like, it performs just as just as good, if not better, than the fans they had like going into the 90s and 2000s era. Like, it could be just like performance on these, I'd say, is like about the showroom level 100 fans that they saw back in like the 2000s era that were called it was like that showroom exclusive line. I think it was I forget what it was called, but it's like the same line that they had for like the 100 Dimensions, the Hunter, Millennium. Those were sold before that showroom line came out, but you guys get what I mean. I forget what it was, but it was just the models that they sold just at the showrooms. Like the 100 Paramount XP was part of it as well. Like, the air movement from this feels to be like on par with something like from that showroom line. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because I do have a few fans from that showroom line that I've tested. Like, I do have a Dimensions. I do have, like, I think the Preference was part of it too before it's discontinued. I might, but don't quote me on that. Or the Southern Classic, I know that's another one that I have. Just haven't reviewed it yet, and I haven't reviewed the finish, but it's definitely a neat one. But yeah, this is definitely a really good performer. Like, I'm really impressed with it. Now, if you can find one for cheap for about like $150, it's definitely worth the price. $200, I feel, is a bit pushing it. But if it's something that you're gonna use, then get it. But if it's something that you want just for like a collector, I wouldn't pay that. But this is also something I actually plan to use myself in the future, so that's why I didn't mind paying the $150 for it. I mean, even for the price, it's 200. It's not really a bad price, especially considering how much air it moves. I feel like it would move a bit more air since it's also very humid down here right now. But it definitely moves more air than the Hunter Infinity, the Passports, all those, like the Summer Breezes, like all those classic models. So I definitely say it's definitely a pretty well-made fan. Alright, now to shut off a new spin down. Yeah, I am very impressed with this fan. I give it a 5 stars out of 5 stars and such. It looks nice. It performs very well. It has a very good light dimming range, especially for an LED. And now that I'm looking at the blade arms, they actually kind of do remind me a bit of the blade arms you see on the Hunter Infinity. Just a little bit different, but they honestly look very similar to them now that I notice it. Just on a completely different looking fan. Spin down shouldn't be too long on it because it's literally just out of the box, so the bearings haven't really gotten a chance to break in yet, but I'm honestly really impressed with it. And they have a quick spin down, but I mean, it's brand new out of the box, so that's to be expected. But, I figured maybe just see if I can reverse it quickly before the video. Yeah, I'm just gonna call it quits here. It was more so the air movement and all that really mattered to me. But, yeah, and that'll be it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for more videos to come.